What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Shopper channel, coming to you with another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. I feel like I'm in a library. I'm trying to be respectful of the neighbors here at the old Embassy Suites here in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's a normal place to be. Beautiful state, my God. Go drive through Utah. You will enjoy yourself, that's for sure. You get the orange mountainous ranges. Now you have snow-capped mountains. People are pretty attractive too. Just throwing it out there. They take care of themselves out here in good old Utah. Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Well, I'm here for all of like 16 hours and then I'm heading back to South Dakota. Gonna have myself a good time out in Deadwood, getting a couple of tickets together out there. You got to bet in person. It's going to be like 1970 out in these streets, but I'm looking forward to it. Just like I'm looking forward to getting back on track in some of these W departments. However, 2 home runs that we hit out of the 3 selections that I had in the premium Discord. Ended up getting off Hunter Renfroe because of the number on Shohei Ohtani. That worked out well. First at bat. I wish I had bet his first home run there, or first home run of the game number, but yeah, those aren't necessarily the best markets from time to time. And then Aaron Judge, I shouldn't even brag about that one. That's foregone conclusion. I'm going to brag about it though. It's plus 290. Why are we doing this with Aaron Judge? He's going to hit another 55, 60 if he stays healthy. Looking forward to it. Just like I'm looking forward to you guys checking out BetMGM. I'll talk about them a little bit later here in the program, the sponsor of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. But 15 games on Friday's slate here before I drive off into the sunset. My friends, well, actually, I'm going to be driving towards the sunrise. Got to think about these things from time to time. All right, my friends, let's get to the picks. Begin our lovely little day, going on a tour, if you will. Basically, I'm doing a tour of half the U.S. We got Arizona, Pittsburgh. They're on opposite ends of this country. That's for sure. The Arizona Diamondbacks have been playing some really good baseball. The lineup, a lot better, especially when you get Corbin Carroll and Lourdes Gurriel going bonkers. Even, I gotta say, shout out Geraldo Perdomo as well, batting .330, 3 homers, 20 jacks, 952 OPS. I'm playing against him in a year-long league, and when I saw him starting Perdomo, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then I realized he's having a phenomenal year. Sometimes certain things fall through the cracks. He's been in the 9-hole for like every game too. What a time to be alive. But I'm looking at this Arizona Diamondbacks offense as a decent spot. And how about Zach Gallen, 6-1, 2.35 ERA? My boy. I've claimed him since the beginning. I love the pitch mix, 32.1% K rate. This is the best we have ever seen this pitch mix utilized. A 225 WOBA. He is just that dude, my friends. And Johan Oviedo, feel like we've talked about him a lot on this program. He was a transfer, well, not transfer, that makes no sense. He was traded from St. Louis as a bullpen arm to Pittsburgh. They ended up lengthening him out, then better than expected as a starter, a 387 expected slugging, just an 18.3% K rate, but you should always expect relievers to have a higher K rate when you get shifted into this full-time role. You're going to see that K rate come down, mainly because you can't just go out and chuck it 100 every single outing. And Oviedo's got that kind of velocity, but this Arizona lineup, they're far more important than you're looking at on this Pittsburgh side. And I don't know, Zach Gallen up for NL Cy Young, no doubt about it this season. Wild to see minus 174 in some spots. You want to get something inside of minus 170 that exists at Caesars right now. Bet 365 and Bet Rivers, which I wish I had access to. Minus 159 would be your best available line. I can get myself, though, still to this minus 169 number here on Caesars. So anything inside of that, money line, Diamondbacks, we continue on. Like it. I mean, this is I can't even talk. Mismatch City. Look at this. Tampa Bay. It is so big. This spread is going to be gigantic when it opens, but we don't have it here as of yet. One of the lines that we don't have on the board, a couple of these were some iffy pitching spots, but we know it's going to be Shane McClanahan. He's a stud, the southpaw for the Tampa Bay Rays. 2.34 ERA, 1.22 whip, everything across the StatCast. The numbers, I mean, he's just phenomenal. He's fantastic. He's assumed to be the starter here. But for some reason, they don't assume him to be the starter. So I will read him Lee that one, Pat, man. Adrian Hauser, we know that he's the announced starter on the Milwaukee side. So that's cool. 48.5% hard hit percentage is not cool unless you're targeting him like I would be. So I'm going to be leaning Tampa Bay minus 1.5. You know how good they are against right-handed pitchers. A 137 WRC plus. That's 20 better than the Dodgers, who are number 2. I mean, that is outrageous, the gap between Tampa Bay and number 2 there. So -1.5, pretty clear-cut spot that if the number is right, we're going to dabble. The Yankees in Great American Small Park. Oh boy, you could see some balls leave the yard here for sure. And let's do a little live looking, shall we? Yankees still up 3-1, bottom 7. Oh, good. They just let the leadoff guy on as soon as I looked up that game. This is why you don't live sweat on this show. It's not a whole lot of fun, especially if I don't get this lock across. I'm probably going to disappear into the abyss in Utah and live in the wilderness with my dog and never be seen or heard from again. Some of you might like that, some of you might not. If you're watching this far into the video, I assume you like me more than the average bear. I should probably do that at the end of the... whatever. We're looking at a pretty interesting spot here. Cole Schmidt, the guy who was supposed to be that dude. Clark Schmidt, this guy who's supposed to be the dude for the Yankees this season, has not been that dude. 6.30 ERA, 1.65 whip. Looking at some of the StatCast data, it's been okay, like not as egregious as you would expect with those kind of numbers. 485 expected slugging and 48.8% hard hit percentage is bad, but I like the K rate, 25.7%, and I like the walk rate at 7.5%. These are decent things. The sinker was a plus pitch coming into the bigs. Hasn't translated the same way you would want it to. The barrel percentage of 12.2% is just problematic, but the main thing that's problematic is you're looking at Ben Lively. I mean, I would much rather have Blake Lively on the mound. At least there's something nice to look at. He's been decent so far, 9.5% K rate, 228 expected batting average, but he's not going to be pitching all that deep into the game. And Cincinnati bullpen, This is just the Yankees in a small ballpark. You got to be looking at that. And specifically, I look at a lot of these righties that will be coming out from the pen for Cincinnati. I think this sets up well as a guy. I'm going to go back to the well with Anthony Rizzo for a second straight day. His numbers did impress me as I was working through it, and he projected at the top of a lot of plays on Odd Shopper on Thursday going into that Toronto game against Barrios. Ended up on it pretty squarely. We'll see how that works out overall. Again, got the Judge homer. That's what mattered there. 27.2% barrel percentage for Judge is just, it's dumb. You should invest at it at plus 300 or something close to that. But Anthony Rizzo, 473 expected slugging, 364 xWOBA. Hi, how are you this fine day? Give me the over of 1.5 total bases, which was nice plus money. You were getting north of plus 125 pretty much every book. So hopefully we get something in that range. Now, doubles aren't just accentuated because it's a smaller ballpark. A lot of times you're looking at homers or maybe a couple bloop singles, something of that nature, because in Great American Small Park, doubles are actually harder to come by just because of, well, they just leave the yard instead. So Anthony Rizzo, over 1.5 total bases though. If we're getting those same plus money numbers, I think that's a nice investment for our Friday. Here's a game I'm actually looking forward to talking about for a couple of different reasons. We have Marcus Stroman on the mound going up against Ranger Suarez here. Cubbies, Phillies. Going to be a fun one in terms of these lineups. But Marcus Stroman started falling off a little bit of late. And this is a pitcher that, well, coming into the season, the very first Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks, I have a bet sitting right here where we bet the over on his K prop and he smashed it. Now, he's had a strikeout rate that's been way up against lefties, but they still, ironically, beat the crap out of him, north of a 1.32 whip on the season. Not great when you think about Marcus Stroman needs to be avoiding those walks, needs to be avoiding putting guys on base, especially those lefties that just find ways to hit him. And it seems as though the sinker is just not being all that effective, his primary pitch to some of these left-handed bats. So he's trying to mix in the cutter. He's throwing that exclusively to left-handed bats. It's got a 24.6% whip percentage, but I don't think the K rate's going to be as good going forward against some of these lefties. And well, there's a couple in Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber up here. They're a tandem on par of the Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker variety. I mean, Bryce Harper has an MVP. Those two don't, I suppose. But definitely looking at Philadelphia and looking at some of these power bats as potentially an investment. But I think we kind of want to invest in everything overall in this one. All things offense, that is, because these Cubbies have been doing some decent work. And Ranger Suarez on the mound against them, I was very surprised to see the Cubs with a 124 WRC plus tied for third best in baseball against left-handed pitching this season. And Rancher Suarez, while he does keep the ball on the ground to a decent extent, an average 3.5-degree launch angle on the season, just a 20% K rate, he's not going to be missing bats, has a 6.75 ERA. Yes, that's worse than his 4.72 expected ERA, but 4.72 is not good in the expected ERA department as is. He's throwing a lot of flimsy changeups out there, trying to get swings and misses with a sinker primarily. He's just a changeup dude over and over again, sitting in those mid 80s, and well, he's got a 571 slugging against it so far with a 481 expected slugging. So not exactly ideal, even though 36.4% whip percentage, if it's on, it can be really on. But I think we want to be invested in runs with these two pitchers on the mound. Over 8.5, give me offenses. Here's a game 12 people will attend. The Detroit Tigers taking on the Washington Nationals. We got Matthew Boyd, southpaw, nose is itchy. Matthew Boyd, 6.47 ERA here for the Tigers, 1.56 ERA. I'm mad at lefties for the Tigers. Yes, I'm looking at you, Erod. Where'd that come from, dude? And then Jake Irvin, he had one good outing against San Francisco. It was San Francisco. Then he gets lit up against the Mets. He's a 4.11 ERA guy. Nothing in this pitch mix really intrigues me all that much. I just think we get away from this game entirely. I don't think there's anything that I want to be invested in with either of these offenses. You look at Washington's numbers going up against lefties so far this season. It's a little bit better than you might expect with a 114 WRC plus, but I'm not all that enthusiastic. A little bit of a small sample size issue there. However, 500 plate appearances isn't nothing. So I suppose it's a little bit blasphemous to actually be leaning on the Detroit side of this one, but I think Boyd's the better pitcher between the two, despite their ERA, Jake Irvin's just getting started this season, only a couple of outings, but feel as though Detroit, whatever, just don't bet this game. This is a game, though, my friends, that we want to be betting. The Baltimore Orioles taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. A little AL East action for your Friday. You say, no, I don't even know how to make that a joke. It's not even funny. Kyle Gibson, I'm just trying to think about how bad he is. He's bad. 16.4% K rate, 475 expected slugging, 279 expected batting average. I'll keep saying it till the cows come home. I'm not all that impressed with the Baltimore Orioles. Had those home run props that I tried to target. Specifically just Shohei Ohtani. Talked about Hunter Renfroe. The number wasn't as good. Was able to target a little bit, even against Tyler Means. Ended up getting the W. The Angels did in that spot. Now another soft starting pitcher here going up against Toronto. And Kikuchi. What in the world, friends? This is an outlier. I get it. Yusei Kikuchi is 5-0. He's got a sub-4 ERA, which whoop-de-doo, Basil, what does it all mean? Well, you saw last time out against Atlanta, when you have a real offense come to town, this is a ballpark that can definitely get Yusei Kikuchi in a little bit of trouble. I've always found him to be a little bit too wild for my liking. He always kind of went for the strikeouts in a pretty aggressive fashion when you just would give up tons of hard contact or walk the entire planet for fun. He's improved that department of his game. So well done by you. 4.6% walk rate coming off of 12.8% last season, which put him in the bottom 3% of all of baseball. Wild discrepancy, but his 3.89 ERA is an illusion. Do not be fooled. And if any regression happens to that 4.6% walk rate, which I think is more than live to happen, he's already at a 5.01 expected ERA. He gives up tons of exit velocity, tons of hard contact, 47.6%. That's on par with what he had with 47.9% last year, which put him in the bottom 1% of the league's friends. Lock button. Give me all the runs and all the land. Two great offenses going at it against two pitchers I do not like. Baltimore, Toronto, 9? You're going to give me 9 here? Yeah, we're going to lock the over. I have no idea what to make of this spot. There is so much. I just want to know things. It's Cal Quantrill on the mound and the Cleveland Guardians going up against the Mets. And it's just the uncertainty that I have over Carlos Carrasco returning from an elbow issue. They said he's going to return to the rotation here. I think it's pretty clear that he's going to get the ball, even though, again, this is one of those lines that isn't up here. But even if it were, I can't imagine the kind of unpredictability that exists with this spot and Carlos Carrasco, because He's had 3 starts this season, 8.56 ERA. He is one of the best stories in baseball, no doubt about it. I love that he overcame cancer. I love, the stuff that he had with Cleveland and how he found ways to be serviceable as he's gotten older with these Mets, but it's not there. A 549 expected slugging. The only reason that you wouldn't jam with Cleveland on the other side is they are second to last in baseball against right-handed pitching with a 107 ISO and a 78 WRC plus, which those are bad numbers, friends. Just throwing it out there. But Cal Quantrill, how do you possibly go out of your way to back him with just an 11.7% K rate, a 354 xWOBA? Easy, you don't. You just move along with your life. Maybe Pete Alonso just hits number 17 tomorrow and I'm missing the boat on it, but overall, I can't imagine that there's going to be anything of value in this one. Cleveland money line would be the lean just because Carrasco, it cannot possibly get worse, but it was already really, really, really bad. So Cleveland money line, just a lean, probably not going to be doing anything. We shall see. We shall see. My dear friends, BetMGM, wasn't this lovely? 2 months of premium Discord. You can come hang out with me. You want to fade my locks? Seems like a profitable strategy of late. However, I'm putting in the time, I'm putting in the energy, and thank God for home run props because they've been carrying the day for us for weeks and weeks and weeks. And well, when everything else turns around and everything starts going to plan, we are going to be smashing in the baseball streets the same way we smashed year after year after year in the NBA streets. So jump in that premium Discord here at OddsShopper. And it's not just myself. We've got Etan Chander. We've got Ben Raza, who's as sharp as it gets. We got Isaiah Suarez. So many great guys. So little exposure. All you have to do is make a bet signing up at BetMGM. Now, you're going to get that bet insured up to $1,000. That meaning you're going to get bonus bets back in your account if it doesn't hit. So you bet $100. If it doesn't hit, get $100 back in bonus bets to utilize over at BetMGM up to $1,000. So start taking advantage of all of these offers sportsbooks are throwing at you to try out their products. Make them pay. And BetMGM, lots of great better props day in, day out. So sign up in the video description box below. Takes you about a minute, 2 minutes to do so. Get advantage, jump in that premium Discord. Come hang out with me. Would love to have you there. Would be an awesome, awesome time. Only if you're 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, we're just short of half of the games left. Let's get back to it. It's the battle of the Bryces. Everybody expected this one, right? Bryce Miller, Bryce Elder. I don't know. This Bryce Miller character has been outrageous, though. 257 xWOBA, 198 expected batting average, 28.1% K rate. Is he that good? He throws 63% of the time fastballs. It's 96, 97 with a little movement. He has less than a 0.5 ERA. You look at some of the splits, he's shutting down lefties. He's a right-handed pitcher for what it matters. 0.60 whip against them, 0.33 just completely neutralizing righties. Maybe he's just that dude. I don't even know what to think about it. So I went through some of his major league numbers, or his minor league numbers. He had a 1.42 whip against right-handed bats in Double-A. What? I gotta think this is an outlier. I just have to. I can't possibly see these minor league numbers and not think that he has shot way over his head early on in his major league career. Maybe I will be proven wrong. And Bryce Elder, the Elder Wand himself, he's struggled a little bit of late, 48.5% hard hit percentage, just a 20.7% K rate. He's started to top off, but he gets the Atlanta lineup backing him. It's a good thing to have backing you. Yes, Jared Kelenic and Julio Rodriguez, they are rather good at the old playing of the baseball. Teoscar Hernandez has started to party hardy. I already did an Andrew Dice Clay joke this week. I can't do 2 of them. So we are simply going to be looking at the Atlanta money line here. I think this is a nice value spot. Everybody's going to see the box score for Bryce Miller. I think there's a chance this number could even jump inside of -140. That would be awfully lovely, but DraftKings Sportsbook, -140, pretty decent number, I think, to be backing the Atlanta Braves offense against a pitcher that I expect negative regression sooner rather than later. Yep, you guessed it. It's pretty disturbing spot here. It's lopsided. Colorado Rockies, Texas Rangers. As soon as you see the icons, you know, oh boy, this one's going to be a trip. And sure is. Carl Kaufman on the mound here for the Colorado Rockies. I say this all the time, but the PCL, the Pacific Coast League, when we're talking AAA, you almost have to just throw those numbers out the window from time to time. But these are so bad that I don't really know what to make of it. AAA Albuquerque, up at elevation, playing baseball up at altitude. It's not been good for him this season with a 7.78 ERA, 1.78 WHIP. Oh boy, he has had some strikeouts from time to time, but again, not consistently, just 26 and 37 innings. And Carl Kaufman's a pass going up against the Texas Rangers. Not much of a hot take considering they've got a 112 WRC plus against right-handed pitchers this season. Martin Perez is just one of those guys who keeps getting by and by. The fly balls have been coming up. That's not exactly enjoyable to be seeing. Had some shortened outings of late, but he faced the Halos, who completely smash left-handed pitching. Then he faced Oakland, who completely smashes left-handed pitching. Wild to say that. Yeah. Did you see a 118 WRC plus coming for Oakland this season? I did not. 174 ISO to boot. Wild stuff at the top of that Oakland lineup. Brent Rooker. Ooh, boy. He's a problem. He's a problem. But so are Colorado pieces that are not Chris Bryant facing facing left-handed pitching so far this season. It's been downright abysmal. The worst team in baseball with a 70 WRC plus. 70. It's like the Tigers last year. That's not a compliment. 24.5% K rate to boot against them. So Martin Perez, extra strikeout opportunities, extra everything there. However, I think I want to be going to Adolis Garcia more than I want to do just about anything here. The man continues to smash the faces off baseballs. 54.2% hard hit percentage, 533 expected slugging. Give me all of that you got in a bag of potato chips. So if the number's outside of plus 300, I want better than that. Adolis Garcia is just going on your betting card tomorrow against this guy. Welcome to the big leagues, Mr. Carl Kaufman. Might be a short stay. You know what's wild? We have strikeout props up for a couple of these games, yet we don't have lines for everything because some teams just hate me. That's what happens as the season goes on. We'll have more and more games that don't have lines that come out ahead of time because, well, you have pitchers that get hurt, players get hurt. Things are waiting to adjust. Managers want to call certain guys up. Teams are in contention. Teams aren't in contention. Teams are trying to, do hum-diddly-dumpty scrumptious bars with service time. I don't know what that meant. But either way, Michael Kopech here on the mound. He's been around for a while, going up against Zach Greinke, who's been here since the beginning of time. He's got a 5.01 ERA this season, the soft tossing righty at this point in time. 1.24 WHIP has been decent enough, and some people don't care about WHIP. I think WHIP's one of those numbers that I can still find some kind of meaning to, even though I find ERA to be more arbitrary. I like looking at expected ERA far more in those kind of situations just because they take into effect what's happening to the baseball and take luck out of play a lot more. So Zach Greinke, he never walks anybody. He never will walk anybody, but he doesn't strike anybody else out either. And the White Sox are starting to come together a little bit. Andrew Vaughn, Tim Anderson, Luis Robert, especially Luis Robert, starting to hit the cover off the baseball. But Michael Kopech is just flat out bad. 51.3% hard hit percentage, 411 xWOBA. And yet, 5.5 is the strikeout number going up against these Kansas City Royals. I'm not quite seeing it. Maybe I'm crazy. Now, the Kansas City Royals do strike out the fourth most in baseball against right-handed pitching, 24.8%. They only have a 78 WRC plus, so the chances of any decent righty finding success and just finding innings here is pretty likely. But Michael Kopech is so bad. 555 expected slugging, just a 21.4% K rate, and then he's throwing only fastballs all season long. 62.4% fastball usage. Slider, changeup, curve get thrown in there a little bit. Slider primary pitch, or second primary pitch there, 26.6% usage. But my God, I'm a little bit floored that 5.5 is the number. In fact, so is Odd Chopper. It's sitting at the top of the board with a 6% expected ROI as of recording it this second. Friends, that's near lock button territory for me, but because it is Kansas City and because I can see the upside there, give me the number. Again, this is just simply math. Under 5.5 strikeouts doesn't make sense to me in this spot. Everybody's favorite. How much wood could a Waldichuk chuck if a Waldichuk could chuck wood? He can't. Wood connects with all the baseballs he throws. Ken Waldichuk here for the Oakland Athletics. They are in Houston. They are gigantic dogs. But here's the thing. There's still some value here. Brandon Bialek. He's been all right in terms of just, avoiding casualties. Tons of ground balls here. 9 and 10 his last two outings after, pretty abbreviated start, just 75 pitches. Didn't get a lot of them against San Francisco. And yes, he faced Seattle and the White Sox, but both of those on the road, decent enough stuff there. 1.83 whip freaks the living crap out of me, but it's a pretty small sample size. And then you get the Houston Astros bullpen and you get the matchup against Oakland. And fortunately for him, he is a right-handed pitcher, because if he wasn't, there's no way that I would be locking this, because again, you have Oakland just smashing left-handed pitching, but they strike out the most in baseball against right-handed pitching, only an 89 WRC plus on that side of it. So you got to be paying attention to some of those splits, especially in the old WRC plus department. It really matters, the runs created plus. But Ken Waldichuk is just going to get obliterated here. He's gotten obliterated pretty much all season. 7.02 ERA, 1.83 whip. Continues to give up the long ball. He had 5 home runs now in his last 4 outings. He's had 5 and 6 walks his last 2. Well, there's speed and there's power at the top of this lineup with Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, and potentially, friends, Jose Altuve. Outside chance that he gets reinstated here on Friday. So pay attention to that news. I would love to have Altuve in that lineup. And hey, maybe they can still find a place for Mauricio Dubon. He's still batting 309. Been much better in the hit department than I expected so far this season. Lots of other pieces. Now you get Altuve, cheater or not, he's still rather good at baseball. Alex Bregman sitting there. You've got enough other pieces through and through. Houston -1.5. This is an absolute lock button. My second lock of the day. This one's just a little bit behind that over of 9 from Baltimore, Toronto, but not by much. I want to like something from here. Dodgers, St. Louis. I just don't. Tony Gonsolin on the mound going up against Steven Matz, the lefty Matz, 267 expected batting average, 20% K rate. Yet another starter for St. Louis who's just on the struggle bus, waiting for his time to get off. Won't be here against the Dodgers more than likely. And then Tony Gonsolin, 286 xWOBA, 220 expected batting average. I really like the stuff. And now we're starting to see that pitch count work up. That's always been a question with Tony Gonsolin because, well, he's nails, 1.42 ERA. We locked him going up against Milwaukee. He was nails, didn't give up an earned run in that entire one. Now, he's only had 3 earned runs. He's only given up an earned run in 1 start out of his 4 starts this season. Pretty wild stuff that you're seeing from Tony Gonsolin here. So I'm obviously leaning the Dodgers money line here. You neutralize a little bit of the Goldschmidt and Arenado combination. You still have to deal with Nolan Gorman, who is a bona fide stud. But those 2 power bats, at least you're a righty facing them, and Tony Gonsolin eats up righties. So there you go. I'm just leaning it, though, because I would like a better number than what we're getting. Just -130, -135 pretty much everywhere. We can do better than that. Speaking of doing better than that, it's right here. The Minnesota Twins taking on the Los Angeles Angels in Anaheim. Joe Ryan, my God, I love you so much. 2.16 ERA, 0.84 whip. He's been way better than I expected. And hey, he went to the Cubbies. They hosted the Cubbies. 10 Ks. It's ridiculous. He's so good. I did not expect this from our starting rotation this season, but front runners in the AL Central, I'll take it. Reed Detmers on the other side of this one. He's a lefty that hasn't panned out the same way you would want. He got sent down to AAA in the middle of last season, revamped some things, struck out 1 million dudes, came back up. We're just not finding these strikeouts to be able to carry the weight for him routinely because, well, 4.89 ERA, not really pitching all that deep into games. Only 1 game so far, reaching the 6-inning mark. That's not getting it done here from the lefty. And Minnesota, I mean, look at this lineup. You want to have Gallo, you want to have Kirilloff facing righties. This is Reed Detmers, who's a lefty. That hurts a little bit in terms of projecting this team. Only an 84 WRC plus against left-handed pitching for the year. But yet, you got to back Joe Ryan here at just -120. I get it. This is a freaky matchup. You get Ohtani. You could just wand another one out to right field pretty easily, especially Angel Stadium. Underrated for the home run ball. Check that out on Old Baseball Savant when you have the time. But Minnesota money line, I'm not going to lock it. I don't want to be called a homer by all of you. I've been called a lot worse by you, so I guess it doesn't matter. Minnesota money line, I like it. 2 games to go. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell as we go to the home run department. Not once, but twice. We've got a pair of lefties, couple southpaws on the mound that I do not believe in. James Paxton, good job, buddy. You had an okay outing against St. Louis where you didn't get completely lit up in your 87 pitches. I'm a little surprised because he had really bad numbers in AAA, was getting completely shelled with a 6.23 ERA, but he's a vet. Maybe he just didn't care. Maybe he was working on a pitch mix. Maybe he was doing other things, or maybe he got lucky. I'm thinking it's probably the latter. And Blake Snell, we've been targeting him all season long. I noticed in spring training when I went and watched him pitch, there were some issues in Arizona. He just couldn't get away from like the AA version of the Seattle lineup where he got completely shelled in the game I attended. And well, he didn't have great body language. He's never had good body language. He's annoying in that department, but we're going to see some strikeouts spike from time to time. It hasn't so far this season outside of the home opener against Colorado, where we still want to bet and he got shelled. I'm looking at the spreadsheet. Those were good days. Can we get back to those? That'd be fun. But a 4.61 ERA, 1.54 whip. Yeah, dude, you're walking too many bats. That's the name of the game. But starting to give up a little bit more power, starting to be a little bit of a target monster for some of these righties to come in. And San Diego, you can pull it out to left. It's obviously not the best ballpark for righty power, but I kind of like two bats here, especially now that Blake's now 466 expected slugging, way north of where you'd expect for a pitcher of presumed his caliber. Justin Turner, my friends. Best start believing in ghost stories, Mr. Turner. You're in one. He's got a 475 expected slugging, 361 xWOBA. I really like Justin Turner in this spot to go yard, so enjoy that one. And I'm going to take the freebie, Fernando Tatis. Do you want to parlay them, you sick people? No, just shop for the best odds at Odd Shopper. Find both books, bet them individually, you heathens. Don't do that. Don't be silly. Or be silly. It's Friday. Get down with your bad self. Fernando Tatis and Justin Turner going to both smash baseballs against these lefties. And our last game of the night, we go to San Francisco, and I got nothing for you here. I want to take the over very, very badly, mainly because Desclafani here for the Giants, 3.06 ERA, 0.96 whip. I expect negative regression on both those numbers. And Sandy Alcantara, he's had terrible numbers. He's had a terrible bounce back. Well, not bounce back. So like backing up his Cy Young year is the right way of saying that. 4.91 ERA, 1.21 whip though. Think he's probably been getting more lucky, and the BABIP kind of proves towards that. We're also looking at expected slugging. Yes, has it been not as good so far this season? Without a doubt, the K rate's down a little bit, and the expected ERA 4.35. It's way worse than 2.92 last year. Sinker's not sinking. Changeup's not changing. The schnozberries are schnozberries. Let's get ourselves out of here. I'm leaning over 7.5, but I think one's going to get a little better. I think one's going to get a little worse. I project this out at 7.8 runs. That is not nearly good enough. Let's get ourselves the heck up out of here. Happy weekend. And that does it for a travel edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks MLB. Head to that comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays on Friday's slate. Hopefully we can get it fun. Let's just go into the weekend with some winners, shall we? Shall we? That'd be fun. I got to double check. Did the Yankees win? I need to know. Yankees, they're up 4-2. If they can't finish this out for me, maybe I don't do this next week. Otherwise, you guys have a ton for the weekend. I'll be back from my South Dakota abode here on Sunday night, covering Monday slate. Looking forward to that. Check out BetMGM below, only if you're 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Alrighty, y'all. I'm out of here. Have a great weekend. I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB streets on Friday.